Hi everyone, I'm Hextasy, and at the time of recording this, my last video had over 2,500 views, which is absolutely mind-blowing for me, so I have to thank you all for that. And today, we'll be putting the knowledge we gained to the test in a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Platinum, only using Pokemon that I could personally beat in a fight. I am about the size of a Sceptile, just a little bit bigger, so I could justify beating most Pokemon that are smaller than that. We'll be naming everything after characters I want to punch in their stupid faces, starting by naming our rival Holden, after the main character from The Catcher in the Rye, my single least favorite book that I had to read in high school. For our starter, we could grab Turtwig or Piplup. Despite what I said about beating most Pokemon smaller than me, I have seen what monkeys can do to a person, and I may be fool enough to claim that I can outbox mythical beings later in this challenge, but I am not fool enough to enter the ring with this thing. We end up choosing Piplup, who takes our rival to Pound Town, and we name them Caillou. Once we get Pokeballs, we make our first stop at Lake Verity to catch Greg the Starly, and at Route 202, we grab his stupid bucktooth brother, Manny the Bidoof. We round out the family at Route 204, where we grab Susan the Shanks. And after Caillou and Greg destroy our rival's team, we can enter Route 203, where we try to catch an Abra, and fail. But one thing we can get here is a Repel. This lets us pass through the Orberg Gate with no encounters. We do this because at Route 207, we can catch Myrtle the Geodude, who we can beat by chucking them off a cliff. And in the Orberg Mines, we catch Vicky the Zubat. By catching these two, we're left with only one more viable encounter in the Orberg Gate, a Psyduck who we name Megan. After evolving Greg into a Staravia, we take on the first gym leader, Rourke. He starts with the Geodude, while we bring out Megan, who destroys them with a water gun before Onix comes out. They outspeed us and set up a Stealth Rocks before also being one-hit KO'd by a water gun. I'm sure the crit mattered. Last up is Cranidos. It hits us to just over half HP with a headbutt, while our water gun brings them below half HP. They delay the fight a turn with a potion, and then hit Megan down to just 3 HP on the next turn, before we land one more water gun to win the fight. With him out of the way, we can go to the Valley Windworks to catch Scarlet the Shellos, named after the main character from Gone with the Wind. I remember nothing about the movie, other than just absolutely hating her guts. The raised level cap also lets us evolve Caillou into a Prinplup, but that's as far as they'll be evolving because I can't see me winning a fight against a giant steel penguin. We also evolve Manny into a Bee-Barrel and Susan into a Luxio. We won't be evolving them further because it's already a bit iffy on if I can consistently beat a 60-pound cat, but a 90-pound one, I'd be in a lot of trouble. Speaking of trouble, we have our first major battle with Team Galactic, taking on Commander Mars for this fight. She starts with the Zubat, who is immediately demolished by Susan's Spark, and Perugly comes in. Knowing they'll use a weak fake out, we switch to Greg for the Intimidate attack drop, before switching to Myrtle, who takes very little damage from the obese cat, and a few rock smashes wins us the fight. We now head to Route 205, where we try to catch a Weasel, but Susan decides to land a crit and kill our encounter. Thanks a lot. But at least we can still catch a Budew in the Eterna Forest, who we name Angelica. Afterwards, we have our battle with the second gym leader, Gardenia. She starts with a Turtwig, while we start with Greg, whose wing attack just fails to KO, and Turtwig can set up a Reflect. She heals up on the following turn, but Greg then lands a critical hit wing attack for the KO. Cherim comes in next, and they waste their first turn setting up a safeguard before hitting us with a Leech Seed after surviving a couple wing attacks. The health they steal lets them survive a third wing attack, and they land a Magical Leaf. Reflect wears off before Gardenia heals, but it can't make another move before going down. All that's left is Roserade, and we switch to Vicky on a magical leaf that does little damage. Roserade can't do much to hurt us, and a few wing attacks takes them out to win the fight. With her beaten, we can access the Galactic Base in Eterna City, where we pick up the upgrade item, which we might need later. Also, we fight Galactic Commander Jupiter. Susan destroys her Zubat with a spark, and then Skuntank comes in. We switch to Greg for the Intimidate attack drop before we get hit by a Night Slash that takes out close to half our HP. Night Slash has a high crit ratio and could be a big issue, so we switch to Myrtle on one of those and it doesn't take too much damage. After surviving another one, Myrtle uses self-destruct to remove the issue in an instant along with themselves. Our first loss earns a spot in Pokemon Heaven, and we meet up with Cynthia, who gives us an egg. After running around in circles for a while, it hatches into Spondum the Togepi, who I could crack like the egg they came from. They quickly evolve into a Togetic, and then we can waltz on over to Route 206 to catch Brian the Ponyta. They are only 3'3", so I should have no trouble introducing their face to my fist. Our next stop is Mount Coronet, where we try to catch a Clefairy, but Caillou decides to land a critical hit Bubble Beam for a one-hit KO. Thanks, Caillou. Luckily, on the other side of the mountain, we catch Sarah the Ralts on Route 208. Once we reach Hearthome City, we can receive an Eevee for free who we name Bruno, and then evolve them into my favorite evolution, Leafeon. While we're in the city, we can take on the third gym leader, Fantina. She starts with Duskull, and we bring out Vicky. We land a Confuse Ray, and Duskull immediately hits themselves. We then use Bite for decent damage and causing a flinch. The second bite causes a second flinch, and Fantina then heals before we land a third bite. A fourth brings Duskull low, and they finally get a chance to move, but misses their Will-O-Wisp before going down to one more bite. Mismagius comes in next, outspeeding us and hitting a Confuse Ray, but Vicky powers through to land a Confuse Ray of their own. Mismagius also powers through Confusion on the first turn and hits a Psybeam that leaves Vicky with only 4 HP before we can land a critical hit bite that brings Mismagius to half HP before their berry heals them. Mismagius hurts themselves a Confusion, giving us another chance to land a bite, bringing them into KO range, but Fantina heals and our next attack feels like it does much less damage. They then hit Vicky with a magical leaf to take them out, and we bring out Spondum next. Psybeam doesn't do too much damage, and we land a Yawn, which will put them to sleep at the end of the next turn. We switch to Susan on another Psybeam, Mismagius falls asleep, and a bite takes them out. All she has left is Haunter, and after being hit by a Shadow Claw, Susan can take them out with a single bite to win the fight. Next up is another fight with our rival. They start with Staravia, while we bring in Susan, who lands a critical hit Spark for the one-hit KO. He brings out Buizel next because he couldn't pour water out of a boot with instructions printed on the heel. A couple Sparks takes them down, and his Grotle enters the fray. We switch to Brian as they use Withdraw to boost their defense, but it doesn't matter because we just use Ember, and a couple of those takes them down, and he brings out his own Ponyta. However, we do not respect the mirror match and bust out Manny to take him out with a couple water guns to win us the fight. With him beaten, we can leave Hearthome City and we hit up Route 209 where we catch Lulu the Chansey. Our next stop is Route 215, where we come across another Abra. This time, we're lucky enough to be able to catch it and name them Grandpa Joe. Arriving in Veilstone City, we receive another gift Pokemon, this time a Porygon named Forsetti. With all the new encounters out of the way, it's time to start evolving Pokemon. Grandpa Joe is evolved into a Kadabra, Scarlet becomes a Gastrodon, Forsetti is evolved into a Porygon 2 off-screen, and they become arguably less dangerous as they evolve and become smaller and less pointy. And Sarah is evolved all the way up into a Gardevoir. and I don't care what the Pokédex says about it opening black holes, that will kill them too. Either we both go down or they are getting a face full of fist. In order to further boost the power of our team, we go gambling and get enough coins for us to buy plenty of powerful TMs. With all preparations done, it's time for us to take on the 4th gym leader, Maylene. Starting against her Meditite, we bring out Greg, who takes them out with a single Aerial Ace. Machoke is up next, and our Aerial Ace isn't lethal, but neither is their Karate Chop, taking out less than half of our HP. One more Aerial Ace scores the KO, and Lucario comes in. We switch to Sarah as they use Metal Claw, taking out less than half of our HP. Not that it matters because they outspeed us and land a critical hit Metal Claw to kill Sarah on the next turn. But at least we get a free switch into Scarlet. They land a Force Palm before we land a Mud Bomb to bring them low, and their second Force Palm paralyzes us and we are unable to move. So we switch to Greg on a Drain Punch that kills them despite the Intimidate attack drop. We bring out Spondum next, who also has to survive a Drain Punch before landing a Flamethrower that just misses the KO, but it leaves Lucario with a burn that does just enough damage to finish them off and win us the fight. We place the fallen Greg into Pokemon Heaven, and then put Sarah into Pokemon Hell where they belong for not being able to land a single move. We then catch a Wingull at Route 213 named Pierre, and quickly evolve them into a Pelipierre. We also evolve Megan into a Golduck, and then have another rival fight to deal with. He once again starts a Staravia, and we bring out Fursetti, who gets a special attack boost thanks to their ability. We handle a wing attack well before landing a one-hit KO Thunderbolt. Ponyta comes in next, so we switch to Scarlet on a Stomp and take them out with a Water Pulse. Next in is Grotle, so we switch to Pierre on a Razor Leaf. It looks like we should be able to survive 2 more of them while spamming Wing Attack, so color me surprised when the 3rd Razor Leaf kills Pierre. We bring Fursetti back in and land a Signal Beam to take out Grotle. Finally, his Buizel comes in, but just goes down to a Thunderbolt to win us the fight. The gym battle with Wake is up next, and while he starts with the Gyarados, we start with Susan. They hit us with a Waterfall for big damage, and it flinches Susan. So a bite on the next turn kills them. Great start to the fight. We bring out Fursetti next, who also flinches to a Waterfall, but they survive a second and can land a Thunderbolt to take out Gyarados. Floatzel is up next, and we have to switch. So we bring out Manny, who takes very little damage from the incoming brine. After handling a crunch, we use Yawn, and I would be okay with losing Manny here, but they tough out another crunch and can hit Floatzel with a Hyper Fang before they fall asleep. We can now switch to Bruno, and finish off Floatzel and the following Quagsire with a Razor Leaf each to win the fight. After the fight, there is a terrorist attack on the Great Marsh, perfect time for us to enter it and try to catch a Hoot Hoot, but they escape. Taking the west exit from Pastoria City, we find and catch Delphine the Buizel at Route 212 and quickly evolve them into a Floatzel. This thing is under 4 feet tall, so they are less than a manlet and will promptly be kicked in the ribs should they ever try to defy me. We also evolve Lulu into a Blissey, an absolute chonker of a punching bag, and we arrive at the Trophy Garden where we nab Gideon the Pichu. We then have our first battle with Team Galactic's boss, Cyrus. His Sneasel can take out half of Brian's HP before going down, and Golbat comes in. We switch to Fursetti on a Poison Fang that leaves them badly poisoned, which isn't great since I was planning on using Fursetti to finish the rest of this fight. We're hit by another Poison Fang, and our Thunderbolt just isn't enough to take out Golbat, so we'll have to switch out now. Delphine comes in on a Poison Fang that scores a critical hit, bringing them below half HP, but we can use Aqua Jet to finish off Golbat, and Murkrow is in next. We switch to Spondum on a drill peck and have to survive a second before landing a charm to cut Murkrow's attack in half. We then switch back to Brian, who gets hit by a critical hit drill peck, ignoring the attack drop and killing them. But we can now bring in Lulu, who takes them out with a couple ice beams to win the fight. Beating him earns us the Surf HM, and we head up to the Fuego Ironworks where we catch Milotic the Magikarp, who will never be seen again. And back in the Ravaged Path, we catch Penny the Barboach. We then evolve Angelica into a Roselia and Gideon into a Pikachu, and further into a Raichu before our penultimate rival battle. First up is his Staraptor against Gideon, who outspeeds them and lands a one-hit KO Thunderbolt. Next up is his Rapidash, and we once again outspeed and hit them with a Thunderbolt. They are brought below half HP and use Tail Whip to drop our defenses before once more being hit by Thunderbolt to take them out. Heracross comes in, so we switch to Bruno on a Night Slash, not doing too much damage despite being a critical hit. We then outspeed them and use Aerial Ace to take them down. Torterra is out next, and their bite does very little damage to us, and Bruno knows Synthesis to heal up. So we're safe to land a few Aerial Aces to take them down, and his last Pokemon is Floatzel, but it goes down to a single Razor Leaf to win us the fight. Winning here gives us access to Iron Island, where we get a Shiny Stone to evolve Spondum into a Togekiss. We also evolve Penny into a Whiscash, and with a little more training, we're ready to take on Byron, the 6th gym leader. And would you look at that, we've already won and can move on to the next couple fights. Galactic Commander Saturn starts with his Golbat, who hits Spondum with a Toxic, leaving them badly poisoned before we use Psychic, just missing out on the KO. Saturn switches out Golbat for Bronzor, who takes very little damage from Psychic, but her Flamethrower can take them down on the next turn. Toxicroak comes in, so we switch to Penny, who is hit by a critical hit Poison Jab that also leaves them poisoned. This leaves them with half HP come the next turn, and we use Rest to fully heal ourselves. Unfortunately, Toxicroak brings us down to just 28 HP before Penny wakes up again, and uses Rest again. They don't take as much damage this time, but are hit by a few Mud Bombs that lower their accuracy. So when they wake up, they miss a Mud Bomb of their own. We miss another Mud Bomb before using Rest, and then get hit hard by a critical hit Revenge. It's clear this isn't working out, so we switch to Scarlet on a Poison Jab that doesn't do too much damage. We land a Mud Bomb to bring them below half HP before their Citrus Berry heals them, and then they land a critical hit Revenge to kill Scarlet. Gideon is out next and lands a Thunderbolt that just misses the KO, and they get hit by a Revenge and are brought to just 2 HP. One more Thunderbolt finishes Toxicroak, and another finishes Golbat to win the fight. We are fighting another Galactic Commander next. This time it's Mars, and we bring out Spondum to handle her Golbat. They don't get badly poisoned this time, but do get confused and beat themselves down to half HP. So we have to switch to Gideon to finish the bat. Bronzor comes in next, and it survives a Thunderbolt, but gets paralyzed and can't move. So a couple more Thunderbolts finishes them off, and Purugly comes in. We let them hit Gideon with a Fake Out and Slash, leaving Gideon low on HP, but they can land a Thunder Wave to paralyze Purugly. We then switch to Penny, who doesn't completely drop the ball this time, and takes out Purugly with a few Surfs to win us the fight. This gives us access to the north side of the map, where we catch Eustace the Sneasel at Route 216. While they and their evolutions are indeed dangerous, they are also small enough that a single good kick would take them out of commission. We also catch a Snorunt at the Acuity Lakefront, who we name Candace. Speaking of Candace, she's the next gym leader, starting with her Sneasel against Spondum. She lands an Ice Shard, but all the damage it does is negated by the healing done from a one-hit KO Drain Punch. Abomasnow is up next, setting up the hail, and then gets destroyed by a Flamethrower. Next in is Piloswine, and we switch to Penny on a Stone Edge that does very little damage. Surf leaves Piloswine in the red, and they then land an Earthquake, leaving Penny under half HP. Candace heals up, but gets hit back into the red by a Surf, and one more Surf ends them. All she has left is Frostlass, and we switch to Eustace on a Blizzard, taking out about a third of our HP. They then try to raise their evasion with a double team, but our feint attack bypasses accuracy checks and always hits. 2 of those takes out Frostlass to win us the fight. We head off to Lake Acuity to see our rivals somehow lose to Jupiter, and that gives us the cue to head to the Galactic Base in Veilstone City. We can pick up the Dubious Disc while there and use that to evolve Forseti into Porygon Z, who already looks like they're in pretty awful shape, so fist fighting one shouldn't be an issue. Our second fight with Cyrus is next, and we start off with a mirror match between Sneasels. His moves first because we have the slowest Sneasel in the world and use a Screech to cut our defense in half, and we then take them out with a Brick Break. Honchkrow is up next, so we switch out to Gideon on a Drill Peck. Our Thunderbolt nearly takes them out, and their Berry heals them before they hit us hard with a feint attack, nearly killing Gideon, but their static ability leaves them paralyzed. Another Thunderbolt takes them down, and Crobat is in next. We play it safe and switch to Forseti, who can take out Crobat with a few Ice Beams to win the fight. We pick up the hidden Razor Claw in the same room, and we can use it to evolve Eustace into a Weavile, but we need to battle Saturn again first. He starts with Golbat while we bring out Grandpa Joe, who we have evolved into an Alakazam, and while they destroy them, let me explain why I would win against this thing. They are very physically frail, and the second I get into close range, it's over for them. They can try to spoon me, but at that range, they can do nothing to stop me from knocking their block off. Bronzor is up next, so we switch to Spondum on a Confuse Ray, and after hitting themselves a couple times, they can take them out with a Drain Punch, and all that's left is their Toxicroak. Their Poison Jab comes close to killing Spondum, but our Psychic is a one-hit KO to win the fight. But we aren't done with Team Galactic yet, though. We head to Spear Pillar for a double battle with Mars and Jupiter, with our rival helping us out. We start with Spondum against their Bronzors, while our rival brings out an obese child to the fight. We hit Mars's Bronzor with a Flamethrower that just misses the KO, and the 2 Bronzors set up a Reflect and hit Munchlax with a Confuse Ray. Munchlax hits the other Bronzor with a Screech, and on the next turn, we take out Mars's Bronzor with a Flamethrower. The other then hits Munchlax with an Extrasensory, and then Munchlax hits themselves in confusion. Purugly comes in and hits Munchlax hard with a Slash before we land a Drain Punch on them for close to a third of their HP. Bronzor then uses Rock Slide, doing next to no damage, and Munchlax hits Purugly with a Screech. Purugly then takes out Munchlax on the next turn, and our Drain Punch leaves them with seemingly 1 HP before their Berry heals them, and we get hit by a weak Extrasensory from Bronzor. Our rival brings in Heracross, nearly gets bodied by Purugly's Aerial Ace, and then takes them out with a Brick Break. We land a Drain Punch on Bronzor before they finish off Heracross with another Extrasensory. Mars and our rival bring out Golbat and Rapidash respectively, and we get hit by a Poison Fang for little damage and retaliate with a Psychic to bring them just outside of the red. Rapidash then destroys Bronzor with a Fire Blast, and Skuntank is brought out. We get hit by a Poison Fang, and our rival's Rapidash moves first this time, taking out Golbat with a Stomp, causing our Psychic to target Skuntank, who is immune. We're hit by a Poison Jab and switch to Delphine on the next turn. Given that this is a 2v1 situation now, we are in no danger, and it's only a couple more turns before their final Golbat comes in and goes down in a single turn to win us the fight. We then have our final battle with Cyrus. He starts with the Houndoom, while we bring out Delphine, who outspeeds them to get the KO with a critical hit Surf. Gyarados comes in next, dropping our attack, and we go for a Rock Tomb, which misses, and we get hit hard by an Earthquake. Predicting another Earthquake, we switch to Spondum, who is immune, and then swap to Gideon as they use Ice Fang. We take them out with a Thunderbolt, and Weavile is up next. We switch to Manny as they use Fake Out and then get hit by a Night Slash that kills Manny due to a critical hit. Forsetti is brought out next and they get hit by an Ice Punch that freezes them. We can't move, get hit by another Ice Punch, still can't move, and then die to a Night Slash. We bring out Eustace next, who is outsped and gets hit hard by an X Scissor, but they survive and take out the opposing Weavile with a Brick Break. Honchkrow comes in next, and we swap out to Delphine, who gets killed by the incoming Drill Peck. Gideon is brought out, and their Thunderbolt just barely doesn't kill, and we're hit by a Night Slash that also leaves us with barely any HP. Our static ability paralyzes them, not that it matters since Cyrus uses a full restore, but our next Thunderbolt brings them right back to the brink of death, and paralyzes them on top of that. Thunderbolt number 3 takes them out, and his final Pokemon, Crobat, is in. They outspeed Gideon and kill them with an Air Slash, and we bring out Spondym. They badly poison us with a Toxic before we deal big damage with a Psychic, then Crobat hits us with a Confuse Ray. This causes Spondym to hit themselves in confusion, and after being hit by a Cross Poison, we power through confusion to finish off Crobat with a Psychic to win the fight. We then need to fight Giratina, but Eustace is faster and a couple Ice Punches ends them. After we leave the Distortion World, we gotta figure out a new team since we lost so many Pokemon. We could head back to Iron Island to get the Riolu Egg, since Lucario was less than 4 feet tall and would get absolutely annihilated by me. Instead, we drop by Route 210 to get a Shiny Stone so we can evolve Angelica into a Roserade. We also catch Ponkrell the Electabuzz at Route 222, who is also surprisingly short. Unfortunately, Electivire is an absolute unit that I have no chance of beating, and training him up might not be worth it. But what is worth training is our next encounter. At the Valor Cavern, we catch Mesprit the Azelf. Despite being a legendary Pokemon, it is absolutely puny and I could punt this thing into next Tuesday. However, this brings up the question of why we don't nab the other 2 members of this trio, and there are 3 reasons why I didn't. 1. I don't have any more Master Balls. 2. Finding Mesprit would be a pain in the neck. And 3. The other 2 are just really ugly. With a new team figured out, we need to take on Volkner, the final gym leader, but a few Earthquakes from Penny completely destroys his team. Before we can take on the Elite Four, we have one more rival battle. He starts with the Staraptor, as always, while we bring out Mesprit, who outspeeds them to take them out with a single Thunderbolt. Heracross is next, so we U-turn into Spondym on a critical hit Night Slash, which doesn't do too much damage. We then take them out with an Air Slash, and Floatzel comes in. They hit us with an Ice Fang to bring us below half HP before we land an Air Slash that scores a crit for another one-hit KO. Rapidash comes in next, so we switch to Penny as they set up a sunny day. I then sneeze and accidentally click Stone Edge instead of Earthquake, which takes out less than half of Rapidash's HP after landing a Will-O-Wisp to burn us. They then use Bounce, not dealing too much damage, and they go down to an Earthquake. Torterra is out next, so we switch into Bruno on a Leaf Storm. From here, we spam Giga Drain against them, healing back most of the damage we take from their attacks. Torterra does use Synthesis to heal up a couple times, but they go down when we land a critical hit. All that's left is Snorlax, and we use Razor Leaf, which doesn't do too much damage, and we get hit hard by a Body Slam that leaves us paralyzed. They outspeed us and bring us low with another Body Slam, while we only bring them to half HP with another Razor Leaf. We aren't planning on bringing Bruno into the Elite Four, so I'm okay letting them die to another Body Slam, because that means we get a free switch into Eustace, who wins the fight with a Brick Break. Going into the Elite Four, our team is Spondym the Togekiss, Penny the Whiscash, Lulu the Blissey, Angelica the Roserade, Eustace the Weavile, and Mesprit the Azelf. So let's get to it. Starting with Aaron, we bring out Mesprit against his Yanmega, who we outspeed and take out with a single Flamethrower. Scizor is brought out next for some reason and suffers the same fate. Next up is Vespiquen. And while they survive the flamethrower, they just use defend order to boost their defenses and then get destroyed by a second flamethrower. Drapion comes in next, and we switch to Penny on an X Scissor, hardly taking any damage. She needs to survive 2 more of those before taking out Drapion with her Earthquake, and all he has left is Heracross. They hit a close combat for solid damage, bringing our HP low enough for our Citrus Berry to activate before we land a Surf, and we then survive a Night Slash before landing 1 more Surf to win the fight. Next up is the ground trainer Bertha, starting with her Whiscash against our Angelica, who immediately destroys them with a Giga Drain. Gliscor comes in, and we use Growth before they hit us close to half HP with an Earthquake. We then use Giga Drain to nearly kill them, and fully heal ourselves before they hit us back to half with another Earthquake. Bertha heals Gliscor this turn, giving us the opportunity to set up another Growth, and with a doubled special attack stat, her Gliscor, Golem, Rhyperior, and Hippowdon all go down to a single Giga Drain each to win us the fight. The Fire-type trainer Flint is next, and we start with Spondum against his Houndoom. We move first and use an Aura Sphere, which brings them to just outside of the red before being hit by a flamethrower that doesn't deal too much damage. Flint wastes our time by using a full restore, but Houndoom still goes down to our Aura Spheres before they can make another move. Infernape is in next, and thinking they're going to use Thunder Punch, we switch to Penny, but we get hit by a Flare Blitz that does little damage. We're then hit by a critical hit Earthquake that brings us to half HP, causing our Citrus Berry to heal us, before landing an Earthquake of our own for the KO. Next in is Rapidash, and they start setting up a Solar Beam in our faces, but won't live to fire it off because our Earthquake is a 1-hit kill. Magmortar tries the same thing and suffers the same fate, and all Flint has left is Flareon, who is outsped and taken down by a single Earthquake to win us the fight. Our penultimate challenge is the Psychic Trainer Lucian, starting with his Mr. Mime against Eustace, who outspeeds it to take it out with a single feint attack. Gallade comes in next, and we switch to Penny on a Stone Edge, which shouldn't deal too much damage, but it misses. We then switch to Angelica on a Leaf Blade, not taking too much damage, and we then bring out Mesprit on a Psycho Cut, which also does little damage. We went through this big chain of switches just to use U-Turn, dealing decent damage and bringing out Penny on a Stone Edge that actually hits this time, proving me right about it doing minimal damage. We switch back to Angelica on a Leaf Blade, this time our Poison Point ability activates and poisons them, the damage causing their Citrus Berry to heal them up once more before we swap out to Mesprit on a Psycho Cut. Our next U-Turn is a critical hit, scoring the KO as we bring out Eustace. Bronzong comes in, so we switch back to Mesprit as they start setting up Calm Minds, boosting their special stats. Flamethrower takes out half their HP before they set up another Calm Mind, causing our next Flamethrower to not KO. And we get hit into the red by a Psychic. Lucian has to heal on the next turn, allowing us to land another Flamethrower before U-turning to Spondum, who loses close to half their HP to a Psychic. Luckily, Mesprit did enough damage for Spondum's Flamethrower to finish the job. Espeon is up next, so we switch to Eustace on a Psychic, which we're immune to. Then we can outspeed and take them out with a feint attack. All that Lucian has left is Alakazam. We switch to Angelica as they use Focus Blast, which misses, then back to Eustace on a Psychic. We repeat this process to get Alakazam to use up all of their Focus Blast power points. And at one point, Angelica is brought down to just 23 HP with 1 Focus Blast left. For some reason, they decide to use that Focus Blast as we switch to Eustace, which of course is a guaranteed kill. But this gives us the opportunity to bring out Lulu without worrying about more Focus Blasts. We get hit by an Energy Ball that drops our special defense, and we use a Soft Boiled here to heal up just in case I miscounted the Focus Blasts. We switch to Spondum to reset the special defense drop, then bring Lulu back in on a Psychic. We use Toxic to badly poison them and ourselves thanks to their Synchronize ability, but we can wait them out using soft-boiled until their HP is low enough for us to finish them off with a flamethrower to win the fight. And now, it's time for our final fight against the champion Cynthia. We bring out Lulu to fight her Spiritomb, and we badly poison them with the Toxic before they hit us for an incredibly massive 40 damage of our 382 HP. So we slowly whittle down their HP. Cynthia tries to heal them in vain, but they eventually go down. Lucario comes in next, so we switch to Spondum, unfortunately on a super effective Stone Edge. They hit a second one for the kill, and we bring out Mesprit, who outspeeds with a flamethrower for big damage before Lucario misses a Stone Edge, and a second flamethrower gets the KO. Garchomp comes in next, going for a Dragon Rush, but they miss, giving Mesprit the opportunity to use Explosion, taking out themselves along with Garchomp. More like Garchomp. Anyways, Lulu is brought out next to take on Milotic and immediately hits them with a Toxic while they waste their turn on Mirror Coat. We slowly inch their HP down with flamethrowers before Cynthia uses a full restore, making us have to reapply poison and stall their HP into nothingness. Togekiss is in next, and while Lulu shouldn't have a problem with them, we want to conserve their PP, so we switch to Penny on an Aura Sphere. We're hit by an Air Slash before missing a Stone Edge, and barely survive a second one before bringing Togekiss below half HP with our next Stone Edge. We go down to an Aura Sphere, and Lulu comes in. They handle Aura Sphere well before landing an Ice Beam that brings them into the red. Cynthia uses another full restore, while we use Soft Boiled to fully heal ourselves. We then badly poison them and alternate between Soft Boileds and Ice Beams until Togekiss eventually goes down. And all that Cynthia has left is her Roserade, who we can't poison. But it doesn't matter, because not only can Roserade hardly hurt us, but they get frozen by our second Ice Beam, sealing their fate as they go down to one more attack to win us the fight and the run. Lulu's immense special bulk made Cynthia a virtually guaranteed win once Lucario and Garchomp were removed from the equation. But the next run I have planned might not have such a powerful solution to their most powerful challenges. Join us next time when I try to beat Pokemon Scarlet using only Pokemon that Markiplier would smash. I've been Hextasy, and thanks for watching.